Hello one and all, and welcome to another video on the Baggers Chat YouTube channel. My name is Mitch Pattinson, and today we have once again, a bit of negative news. Thankfully, it's not an injury, but it's a bit of an unfortunate sort of news that Carlton broke about half an hour ago, and it's about Will White. And as you can see on the overlay, and I'm sure on the title as well, that Will White will not be continuing at the Carlton Football Club this year. We know that last year in the back end of last year, when a few delistings came out, Will White was one of those guys that unfortunately did not get offered another contract. He was trading on for pretty much the whole of pre-season alongside Elijah Hollins. They were two guys that were pretty similar. They both got delisted on the same day, but they both were told to train on and be a part of a potential spot if it opens up through the pre-season. So I don't know, maybe Carlton just probably spoke to him privately and just said, look, this is where we're at, and potentially tell him that there probably isn't much of a future at Carlton, and maybe since he probably was told that there wasn't a spot available, that's when he probably decided to not continue at Carlton's pre-season's training. So not sure if this means that he potentially will look at other AFL clubs and potentially put his hand up for a train-on position to try and get another AFL contract. But it will be interesting to see the next few weeks if he does end up on an AFL list, because if he does, that probably means that Carlton probably gave him the word that it was unlikely that he would get the last there's two contract spots left. And you would think one of them goes to Elijah Hollins, but now Wade Dirkson, a guy that's been not an official train-on player, but he's been training at the club for ever since they've really returned for pre-season. He will now be an official train-on player, and now it's kind of his spot to lose, really. I still think Elijah Hollins, he'll be stupid not to sign Elijah Hollins. I think he's done enough to get another position, but I'm not sure exactly if it's 2 spots or 3 spots available. I know it's obviously at least 1, but it's either 2 or 3 because we don't know with the Jesse Motlop injury. I think that obviously is classified as a long-term injury, but they haven't clarified if it's if that will be the reason why we get 2 list spots available, or if it's also due to Harry O'Farrell last year with that long-term injury. So, yeah, I mean, what's your kind of thoughts overall? I want to see your thoughts in the comments. I think it's quite stiff if Carlton have given Will White the tap on the shoulder and said, look, it's probably not likely that you're getting the spot. If it was up to me and there was 2 spots available, I would have given it to Will White and Elijah Hollins. That was pretty straightforward from my end if I had anything to do with it. So I wanted to see what your thoughts were. I haven't spoken to Daff about it. As soon as I saw this news come through, I thought I'd jump straight on and do this video, but I haven't spoken to Daff, so I want to see his thoughts and see what his overall thoughts are, because I know that he's a huge fan of Will White. As I'm sure many of you guys know, he's been one of those guys that's backed Will White to be to get that contract position. And with what we've seen at training and stuff, Will White's looked very impressive. So if I just go through a few things here. So Carlton has today informed Will White that he will not continue with the club for the remainder of the pre-season's supplemental selection period. That's the SSP period, obviously. SSP, that would be SS period. This comes as a result of the club granting Wade Dirkson as SSP train-on spot for the remainder of the pre-season. So hearing that probably means that that Carlton probably preferred Wade Dirkson to be that player to potentially get a position over Will White. I don't know if that's just worded incorrectly or maybe it's kind of taken out of context, but when you hear this comes as a result of the club granting Wade Dirkson as an SSP train-on spot for the remainder of the pre-season, I don't know. I just think that kind of paints a picture right there that Will White may have been given the tap on the shoulder saying, look, it's not likely that you'll get the position. Dirkson, a versatile tall, recently signed with the Blues VFL side after 57 VFL games for the GWS Giants, in which he led the Giants goal kicking in 2023 before being named as a defender in the VFL Team of the Year in 2024. So, yeah, I don't think this video needs to be too long. I just think it's just a quick update that I wanted to do today. Because as I said, like when I saw this news come through, shout out to Barney. I didn't actually know the news until Barney was speaking to me, and it was like, oh, like surely Wade Dirkson won't be getting this last contract position. He already knew the news about Will White, so I said, well, if there's 2 spots left, you probably would expect it to be Elijah Hollins and Will White. And then I literally went straight onto Instagram. First thing I see is Will White's feed. Will White will be departing the club, and then I went straight back to Barney and said, I've just seen the news. I feel like an idiot. But yeah, just a quick one. So the 24-year-old will now train full-time with the AFL program over the coming weeks ahead of the preseason supplemental selection period deadline on the 2nd of March. So that's obviously Wade Dirkson. The club currently has one available. Oh, so they do have one available list spot. Wow. Yeah. So that obviously means that Harry O'Farrell wasn't on the long-term list. So that's probably a good thing, knowing that we don't have to kind of put a line through Harry O'Farrell. And if he's right to go for the second half of the year, potentially Harry O'Farrell could be featured because, as I said to Daff, I think it was when the Nick Haynes news came through with the Matt Cottrell news as well. And I said to him, like, this would be a perfect time to have Harry O'Farrell out there because you've got Nick Haynes going down, and you can have Harry Dean and Harry O'Farrell with Jake Awena, and that's a pretty juicy kind of key stocks in the back half. But White officially departs the Blues AFL program after 12 months on the playing list. Signed on the eve of the 2025 season, White played 14 games in the Navy Blue last year. Like, that's a lot of games of football. So, yeah, it probably, I mean, I used to get really annoyed and kind of not angry, but just like I used to really emotionally get myself attached to this sort of news. But I kind of have taken a step back the past few years because at the end of the day, we have no sort of way of turning this back. But we can't just contact the club and say, you need to give Will White a position on the list. I'm sure like the coaches who are on very good money know a lot better than any of us with the capability of this list. And maybe they don't see Will White being a part of, obviously they don't see Will White being a part of the future from this day forward. So, yep, as I said, very short video, very quick update about Will White departing the club, but also Wade Dirkson is now officially a train-on player, and it really is now down to Elijah Hollins and Wade Dirkson. You would expect. I know Ethan Phillips is one of those guys that has been around the club like Wade Dirkson, but I don't think he will be one of those guys that that will be. All due respect, not like he's not a chance, but I just don't think he's been one of those guys that's been talked around enough, like Elijah Hollins and a Will White and now a Wade Dirkson. So to every single blue bagger out there, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on this YouTube channel, but make sure to also get around our social media platforms, whether it's Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. There's a few others out there that you can see us on, but also make sure to get yourself ready for some audio platforms in the next few months when we transition into the season, because that's when those episodes will go onto the audio platform. So you can find us on socials, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Music as well. There's a few others out there that you can find us on. But yeah, take care. I didn't expect to be back on for another video today, but yeah, I'll try and keep on top of the updates as much as I possibly can. But take care as always, and up the baggers.